But yeah, but so did it take me 10 years to write that book, or did it take me 3 years? Do I start when I first,
like 10 years.
you know, but I did other books in between. I wrote
Yeah.
2 other novels and like 3 picture books in between. So it's hard to say. I mean, and also I do, you know, I don't want to say that children's books are easier, because they're not easier, but they tend to be shorter. You know, I mean, my manuscript
they take less time.
Yeah, it's 250 pages or something. You know, a lot of adult novels are, you know, much longer than that. You know, so it's hard to know exactly.
Okay, well then, we pretty much covered the next 3.
Sorry.
Okay.
Do you do a lot of reading? Because our teachers usually say to be a good writer, you have to be a good reader.
Yeah.
And I believe that.
Yeah,
I read
absolutely.
a lot.
Yeah.
So
I believe that too. I think you learn most of how to write. You learn from reading and sort of being aware of what you're reading.
Do you read a lot of children's?
I do.
Yeah.
Sometimes when I'm working on something, when I'm like really in the middle and sort of that exciting kind of zone of being in my own world of writing, I actually can't read anything similar, or I can't read anything in that field. You know, I can read something that I don't have to really compare myself to.
Yes.
You know, it can almost be a danger to read something in the field.
Oh, that's
so
interesting.
Yeah.
yeah, because I just will suddenly, I don't know, I'll get insecure, or I'll compare myself, or I'll find, you know, some passage that is just like something I wanted to write. You know, it just is a little too dangerous.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, but in
I never
between,
thought of that way.
I kind of keep abreast. And teaching, I sort of have to keep abreast of, you know, my field. But reading in general is great.
Absolutely.
It's good.
Okay, well, you kind of answered a question that we have next, but have you ever worked hard on a novel and then found out there was a similar story published already?
I guess not so similar that it stopped me from writing it.
Right. Okay.
I can't really remember. I don't know if there's like an specific time. I mean, I sometimes like come across certain characters that remind me of my characters, but
Do you feel bad about it, or you just say, you know?
Yeah,
It's like intertextuality when
Yeah.
you're learning
Yeah.
and evaluating writing.
Yeah,
So.
I don't know. I mean, I guess I feel like my books are sort of weird enough that the similarities are kind of vague, and you can make connections
To anything, really.
That's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah, that always scares me though. Like, oh, what if people think I'm like plagiarizing or something? I was like, I never knew this book existed until you showed it to me. So.
I mean, there's so many people in this world that it's kind of hard to have a unique idea, but
Right.
everyone's going to go about that idea in a different way.
Yeah, it's like a different approach.
And you use things that you read. I mean, everybody kind of steals things. I mean, that's why, you know, reading is good, because it actually can be another different way to get ideas, but yet you sort of manifest it in different ways. It comes out differently. You know, I mean, it's not like you read a book and you sit down and you say, oh, these are the exact same words, or, you know, you wrote something and you read something that's the exact same phrases and word combination. It might be the same idea, the same premise.
Yeah, because I was looking at the similarities between Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings, and there was kind of a lot of similarities.
Yeah.
But I was like, it doesn't matter, because Harry Potter's really cool.
And sure, of course she copied that, or was influenced by it.
Of course.
You know? Yeah. So, I mean, I think naturally you kind of write the way that you admire. You know, you write like a writer that you admire, which isn't a bad thing, as long as you're not writing, you know, John Steinbeck or something, you know. I mean,
it's not too obvious.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I could say in some ways, like back to the reading question, there's often a novel I read while I'm working on a novel that somehow makes its way into my writing. And I guess East of Eden by John Steinbeck was one example, which, you know, I read that when I was really, I guess, younger. And then I was working on this novel, and for some reason I decided to reread East of Eden. And then I had my character in my novel reading East of Eden in an English class. And then East of Eden has all these sort of themes of good and evil, and, you know, it sort of references kind of Cain and Abel's story from the Bible. And so I put on all these themes of good and evil in my novel, you know, which isn't plagiarizing, but it's,
Yeah.
you know, it's gave me like a really great sort of theme to work with that I was inspired by. And you could say I was definitely influenced by reading that book while I was writing mine.
Do you ever find that you have similarities in between your own books? Because I looked at Stephen King, he's got like over 50, and a lot of his stories, like especially the Dark Tower series you were telling me about, where some of his older characters show up in the Dark Tower series, and I think that's really cool. But I think it's almost dangerous, like, if you repeat often.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I guess Stephen King could pull off anything. He can do whatever he wants. But
Yeah. I mean, in my picture books, it happens more because I'll have like a character I really like in one of my picture books, and then I'll like make sort of a pseudo series out of it, or I'll have that character appear in another picture book, or that character will be the main character. Or there's like, you know, the illustrations, for a long time there was always, you know, a particular dog that was recurring in every picture book I did, and, you know, it wasn't about the dog, just because I put in, you know, a dog that looked the same. So in that, I guess it sort of happens, but I think the more thing that recurs is a theme, and they do say that every writer sort of has like a thing that they're sort of always writing about. You know, you can almost sum it up in one word. Yeah, I mean, if you look at like all of my books, they're all like some kind of sad, lonely character looking for like love, you know, friendship, companionship, looking for something. You know, most of my books are some sort of about that.
it's good to be consistent.
You know, but they're completely different.
Yeah.
Right.
You know.
All right.
Do you want to move on to the publishing then? I think we can come back to some of these
Yeah.
later. Okay. So that was mostly about your writing process. So now we have a couple of questions about publishing. Is an agent crucial to publishing success?
I think we might have talked about this at the end of the class we took with you
Yeah.
semesters ago.
Crucial, success, those are really difficult words to sort of answer.
I think that was my question.
It's a good question, but, you know, success, I don't know, is really hard to...
It's just
Could
like
you do it without an agent? I mean, I guess
I
you
would
could.
say these days, no.
No?
I mean, it's possible in the field of writing for children and young adults that you can get published without an agent. It's, I think, pretty much impossible in the field of adult literature, or, you know, any other kind of literature.
Okay.
Why is that?
Because the children's field is still small enough, and I think there's more sort of networking and word of mouth.
Okay.
You know, if you go to conferences and you meet an editor, if you take a workshop with a, you know, editor, or an, you know, you can actually get to know that editor, and then they'll say, sure, send me something. So there's a little more of that goes on, but not as much as there used to be.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And there are a lot of publishing companies that won't look at anything unless it comes in from an agent. So I would say anyone who's starting and trying to get published now, to get an agent is probably crucial.
Okay. How would you go about finding an agent, especially one interested in what you're writing?
Yeah. Go on the internet, look up agents, you know, connected with whatever you're interested in writing, you know, cookbooks, or, you know, you're doing fiction. Sorry, this is a fiction interview. So, you know, but if, you know, you're writing, I don't know, erotic fiction, literature agents, you know, look up something like that. You'll find them. That's probably the best way. And they all have nice websites that say what they're looking for and how to submit. It's pretty easy. It just takes a little bit of time.
Is that how you did it, or was it just...
No, I mean, I started a long time ago. I started before the internet. So, yeah. I had to look at books and
It's so easy nowadays.
talk to people and, you know. Yeah. And actually just send things sort of blindly.
Yeah.
You know.
Let's see. Okay, how much time does it take before getting a response on average? I mean, I assume it's different for just about everything. I know every publisher has we respond in 6 months, we respond in 8 months, but on average...
From a publisher or from an agent?
I would say an agent.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're looking for the agent.
Yeah.
The agent is looking for the publisher, basically. An agent, they might say in their guidelines how long to expect, but I'd say 1 month to 6 months.